are you licking my gobstopper?
Strike that. Reverse it.
Nazi punks! Lick my plate! Raining!
There'll be 10 minutes where it's like a Steven Soderbergh Ocean's 11 movie. It's all slick and funny and stuff. Then just the most horrific shit imaginable happens.
It's because that's what the fucking movie's about, you asshole.
This fucking guy.
The Tree of Life is freaking awesome.
I'm sure you think it is.
Faded to black.
Oh, you are fucking this up.
Neon slime.
Gangster movie douchebag. Well, forget about it. Yeah, forget about
Being a
it.
cinematique, where I like, I like the sets and I like all that stuff.
What did you say?
Cinematique? I don't know.
Jared Leto, man.
You're the worst, dude. If you ever listen to this, Jared Leto, you are the fucking worst. I'd rather watch that dude, the English dude, who looks like he's not done yet.
This movie is the opposite of getting laid.
Thank you to all our listeners who have been listening to us for over a year now. Subscribe to us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and any other platform that has podcasts. Visit our Patreon page, become a Patreon to get more additional content. Again, we appreciate you listening and keep watching those movies. Now, on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Wall, Lee Bridges, and Garrick Lane, this is Tales from the Video Store.
Better than this piece of shit. Go ahead.
I love the hair. What? So what? You just want to just cut it?
Well, goddamn. Here, I'll show you a picture. I went, and
Did somebody pay you for the hair for a cancer patient?
this woman who cut my hair just went, goddamn. She went crazy with it, and I
You look
can't.
like Maggie.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what my fucking son said. Fucking assholes.
He looks like he's about to ask to speak to a manager.
You look like Maggie, dude.
What a fucking asshole.
No.
That was the cabin.
Nice. Oh yeah, man, I need something like that in my
I
life
covered fucking
with my mistress.
shit. Yeah. Anyway. Well, go fuck yourself.
Welcome to number 77, folks. How we doing out there? We've been gone for a couple of weeks. I was on vacation.
I too was on vacation.
Doug was on vacation, and Lee has been dealing with plumbing problems. Did you get that plumbing problem fixed?
Yeah, I finally got it.
Good.
About $6,000 later, I'm sure. It's outrageous. We have a water problem.
It's a couple thousand.
We have a water problem in our house. It's going to cost $15,000 to fix. So I know all about that. I was tempted just to move.
Just leave it for somebody else to clean
Yeah,
up.
leave it somewhere else.
That sounds like something you'd do.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Hey,
Hey,
it's the times, baby.
Yeah.
It's the times. Here we go. So we watched Spike Lee's new film, straight to Netflix, The Five Bloods.
The Five Bloods.
Doug, you want to start us off?
Not really, but I guess I will anyway. Five Bloods takes place in, what'd they say, it was 2009?
Yeah.
Isn't that right? And these four guys that were in Vietnam together have decided to go back and try and find the body of their fallen. He was kind of their leader, but also, one of their best friends. And then something about some gold comes up, and apparently they also, when they were there, they had found this cache of gold, and they want to bring it back to, give it away, basically. And this is about them coming to Vietnam and looking for those items, and then the shit that kind of goes down that's associated with it.
2000,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
2009?
Yeah, it takes place in 2009.
So why did Gene
But wait a minute,
Reno
the guy's
have
wearing
it?
a Trump hat.
Yeah, why was Gene Reno wearing a Trump hat?
You mean Delroy Lindo?
No, Gene Reno at the end, when he shows up to get his gold, the professional, Leon, he has a make Trump...
He's wearing the one that Delroy Lindo had. After he kills him, he takes his hat.
Oh,
you
yeah,
weren't paying any attention to this piece of shit.
I'll tell you what, about an hour, I'll tell you what. I didn't start paying attention to this fucking disaster until
Homeboy blew up?
Until the Tin Man from The Wiz stepped on the landmine.
That was me about an hour into it. I paused it and saw I still had another hour and a half left, and I thought, God damn, is anything going to happen? And some stuff does happen, but it's very oddly constructed, I thought.
This is how I feel about this movie. And listen, I love Spike Lee. First used in 25th Hour by, what's his name, Isaac Whitlock.
Isaac Whitlock, who stars in this.
Yeah, who's great.
Then The Wire.
Yep. I love Spike Lee, and I love the majority of his movies. This is one of my least favorite. And I think that honestly, and I would never know because Spike Lee would never tell me. It'd be cool to get him on the phone. But I honestly think that he had a really good movie. And then with the times that are happening right now, he decided last minute to add some voiceover, rearrange some stuff, maybe even add a scene or two, add a bunch of like 15-minute bookends of stuff that's happening in the world. And I think it messed it all up. Now, that's just me. I don't know. I feel like there was a good movie in there.
Well, apparently this script had been going around for some time, and it was supposed to have been with like white actors. Somebody else had a hold of it. I can't remember who it was. And then Spike got it and decided to do this to it, which I think was probably an improvement. Because, I mean, I like Spike Lee, and one of my favorite parts of the movie were the flashback points. You know, when he's shooting in 16mm, dude.
Yes, I love it.
You know, I thought that looked really cool.
See, there's a good movie in this movie.
Right.
You just have to get it out.
Yeah, but all in all, you know, sometimes they just don't work. And this was one that it's like it had some things about it that I really liked, but more of it was just, I don't want to say nonsensical, but it just didn't necessarily need to be in there. I didn't think like this definitely did not need to be a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, as I say, if you take 35 minutes out of it, get straight to the point. And, you know, I think it's a different movie. I had a problem with it. Was it me? Was it me not paying attention, or did it feel like they would have been a lot younger? Wouldn't they have in the flashbacks?
They probably would have. Well, they should have been, because when I noticed the flashbacks, and they all still have like white beards.
Right.
They just used the actors. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even. Yeah.
I took that as that's them remembering it.
Yeah.
So they sort of, like, in your memory, you sort of put your present self back in the...
Yeah, I'll buy that.
That's what I took it as.
Especially at the end when he finally meets Storm and Norman forgives him for shooting him. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. It was a little tough at first. It was a little convoluted.
Well, I thought, wow, man, they're going the cheap route on this. But then, like Lee said, the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, okay, I think that was the intention. You know, to just put these guys in their present minds back then, and why use young actors? You know, the only young actor was Bozeman because he never aged. That made sense to me, I guess.
Yeah, because he's like frozen in that time.
Right.
Yeah, he died in that time, so he's frozen in that time.
But those like those weird people that they meet in the woods that are like
white people
looking for mines or that whole thing just didn't make any sense. It got to a certain point in the movie, I guess around the time that they started digging about 4 inches into the ground and finding gold bars and finding their buddy and all that it just, the flow of it just really, it just didn't really flow to me. It just, at that point, I was like, okay, what are they going to do? Then the white people show up, and then Jean Reno shows up to double cross, which everybody fucking knew he was going to come and double cross him. Like, it just, it was weird.
He's the only white actor there.
And
of course he's the bad guy.
You know, and then these guys, you know, start basically just kind of going down. And
I did like that, and this is a spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I did like that most of them died.
And I loved, my favorite part of the movie was probably Delroy when he goes off by himself and it's just like screaming at the camera and all that, you know, when the snake bites him and he falls down the thing and he loses the money and he just sits there laughing about it. That was probably my favorite part of the movie.
The PTSD aspect and him coming to terms with what he did.
Right,
but
but
he's been. I liked his character, like when he would meet the different monks.
Yeah,
and he'd be like, "Man, get him the fuck away from me!" Like he was always real.
Yeah,
it seems like he had the most stress of them all.
Yeah, well, he didn't. He never forgave himself.
Right. So
how could he forgive anybody else that did anything over there? Is kind of how I took it. Which is fine. I mean, there's a lot of themes in this that you could tell that Spike kind of wanted to touch on, and you know, about the black GIs that were there, and you know, why are you fighting for this country and all that. You know, that was on the radio. All that I thought was unique and well done. It's just that because it was 2.5 hours long, it felt more like a 2.5 hour long B movie than something, you know, that maybe if it was an hour and 45 minutes and condensed, and it might have been a little bit more powerful to me.
Lee, what'd you think, man?
There's a lot of it I like. Like Doug said, like I like the shooting. And they shot it in, you know, they used 3 different types of film, you know, different aspect ratios. I thought that was really interesting. I didn't mind the older actors playing their younger selves. Like I said, that's how I took it, is that was their memory of it, you know, because, you know, and it's just, once the car dealer steps on the landmine, it becomes a completely different movie. You know, it's like, it's like 2 movies sort of mushed into one. You know, and it's sort of, it's like 2 movies, but they're not as good as if it was 2 movies. You know, it's less than the sum of its parts, basically.
Yeah.
Like Delroy Lindo's great. All the actors are great. You know, and yeah, obviously Jean Reno. He's a French businessman in a white suit in Vietnam. Clearly, he's the bad guy. I mean, he's, you know, he should have wearing a T-shirt that just said "villain" on it. But I mean, like I said, like Doug said, the script, it's a script that's been around for a long time. It was written by the original script was written by the 2 guys who wrote The Rocketeer. So I imagine it was very different. And I'd actually like to find it and read it just to see if there are any similarities, because I know he rewrote it a lot. Basically, he probably just used the basic structure, and, you know, everything else was, you know, thrown away. But it's just not very good. It's like everything. It's weird. It's like, I like the way it was shot. I like all the actors. I like everything about the movie, but the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's more that I respect it than like it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
and that's how a lot of and I'm sorry to interrupt. That's how a lot of Spike Lee movies are. Like Girl 6 isn't his best movie. Summer of Sam isn't his best movie, but
Summer of Sam's a terrible movie.
Right, but I like the aspects, like the way he shot.
Right, that's true.
I liked John Leguizamo. I like the whole story. You know, it's just, I don't know. And then you get Black Klansman. That's just, I mean, just a fucking masterpiece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Malcolm X, which is the manager's choice. It's a freaking masterpiece.
If I showed you Black Klansman and then I showed you this, it would be hard for somebody who didn't know to say, yes, that's done by the same director. I felt like.
I agree to that.
And that's not a knock on him. I actually think that that's a positive thing, that he does make... He's not afraid to kind of go off script. Like a lot of directors they continue to make the exact same movie, and Spike doesn't do that. And I respect that big time. I think that's an honorable way to do it. And sometimes they work perfectly. You know, like Black Klansman, I thought that was about as flawless a movie as he's ever made.
25th Hour is still my favorite. Spike Lee movie.
This one is just one of those where he just wanted to go in a different direction. I applaud him for it. but the end product just isn't. Like Lee said, it's just not that good.
Yeah, unfortunately. And also, you were talking about the manager's choice. Here's a bonus manager's choice. Instead of watching this movie for $10 on Amazon, you can buy a 2-disc special edition of The Treasure of the Sierra Madre and have it shipped to your house for $10 because it's basically the same movie.
Yeah.
It's just The Treasure of the Sierra Madre in Vietnam. I mean, that's all it is. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's, there are better versions of this movie out there.
Yes.
I would agree.
I do like, I always like Delroy Lindo, and I love Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
I love Isaac Whitlock, even though the
He broke into like the longest one, I think, in recorded history. And
also, it was so late in the movie, I'd sort of forgotten about it. Yeah. Like, he snuck it in on us,
I was like, there it is, okay.
Yeah.
And like that straight-on dolly shot, that spike.
He did 2 of them in it.
Yeah. And I look for those things, and I like to see those things.
Yes, but there was a Make America Great. The villain was wearing a Make America Great hat, which in 2009 probably was non-existent. I felt like maybe that might have been a,
Well, who knows? I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah, it was good. Clark Peters. The problem with Clark Peters, man, is the only other movie I ever saw him in, he was a molester pastor. So like, that's all I see when I see him is like, oh, you're that child molester.
Oh, what was that? Red Hook Summer?
Yeah, Red Hook Summer. Yeah.
Well, he was also in the HBO show The Wire. He was the pawn store cop.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And now, wasn't Norm Lewis? Wasn't he in The Wiz? Wasn't he the Tin Man in The Wiz?
He might have been.
I'm looking it up right now to make sure because I could have sworn it was him. He's been in a bunch of stuff, and I didn't recognize him besides The Wiz, and maybe it wasn't him. Okay, well, he sure looked like it. Anyway, man, that was crazy, though. That part was crazy. I didn't see it coming. Did not see it coming when he stepped on the landmine.
Well, I thought, okay, here we go, and it kind of did ramp up a little bit, but just not really to my expectation or liking. It was
that should have been like 30 minutes in.
Right. It was like, oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh, all right. Everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Yep, out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, into the movie.
Okay, I'm an idiot. It was Nipsey Russell was the Tin Man and the freaking Wiz, not Norm Lewis. They sure looked alike, and I'm an idiot because that age.
Nipsey?
That age would have been definitely different. Nipsey Russell, not Nipsey Hussle, but Nipsey Russell. There you go. I liked so real fast. We'll get off of this. Yeah, I did enjoy, and that's cool that you guys enjoyed that because that's normally a Garrick thing to
What's that?
To notice the different film emulsion and the different cameras used and the different looks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's my thing. Man.
You're right.
You don't need to talk about that.
I forgot.
You need to just stick with the foundation of
Sorry,
the story.
we'll leave that to the Cinematique.
Yeah, my bad.
All right, so if Do the Right Thing, which is probably Spike Lee's masterpiece, is a 10, what is Da 5 Bloods?
A 5.
A 5? I was going to say about a 4.
I would say a 5.
I was going to say 4 too.
Simply because I like enough of it to where it, even though it dragged and even though it was not, 2.5 hours long, I liked enough of it to where it's okay. I didn't walk away from it being like, God, I hated this. It was just like, just way too long.
Right. Okay.
So 5 to me, that's fair. And a 4 is 2.
Yeah, I would say 4.
All
4
right.
to 4.5.
There you go.
Well, we've had 2 weeks. I didn't watch much.
Don't worry, pal. I watched every
I was at the
fucking
beach,
thing.
yeah. I was getting ready to say, but I'm sure Doug has done plenty for both of us. All right, I'm going to go mow the office yard while you do your reviews, and I'll be back, okay? Go ahead.
You've got probably 30 minutes. So, looking back on my notes here, I've first thing I watched, it was a rewatch of a movie that we covered several months ago, The Man Who Killed Hitler, and also The Bigfoot.
And also other stuff.
Starring Sam Elliott. And, the Nazi stuff is really well shot. It looks really good. Everything looks great. It has a nice feel to it. I like the badassness of that opening scene where those guys try and take Sam Elliott down, steal his car, and he has to kick their asses. But once it kind of evolves into this Bigfoot part, it was just really odd. And the Bigfoot just looks terrible.
That's true, it does.
And basically it's just fan porn. If you love Sam Elliott, then go watch this if you've never seen it. I think you'll appreciate it.
We've done a whole show on that movie.
Yes, we did. I watched Cape Fear from '91.
How you doing, counselor?
14 years, counselor. I'm going to teach you about loss. I hadn't seen it in really a long time. Saw it's on Netflix. I think it's really underrated in his library.
Oh, yeah.
Like
without a doubt.
I think a lot of people just think that he just basically just reshot the original, which isn't really the case at all. Man, De Niro in that is... God damn, is that his scariest role? I mean, really,
yeah.
He's
terrifying.
He is absolutely terrifying in this movie. And
the climate.
And I don't know why I've always had a hard-on for Jessica Lange. Don't ask me why.
She is fine.
Always. Even in this, I was like, yeah.
I would have been okay watching King Kong rape her.
Oh, God. Okay. On with the next one? Jesus. Then I watched... just on a whim, I saw The Good Liar. Was on like HBO or something by Bill Condon, who directed Gods and Monsters and a couple of the Twilight movies with Ian McKellen and Helen Mirren. And it's basically Gandalf versus Mrs. Tingle. They kind of they're 80 years old and they kind of meet online, and Gandalf is like an old grifter who kind of rips people off, and that's his ultimate plan in this. But as the movie kind of takes place, and it is very slow, very fucking slow, but as it kind of takes place, you kind of see the reasoning behind not only the things that he's done, but also what some other people have done. And it's a revenge movie, and it's just okay. I can't imagine ever watching it again, but I think it's an okay one-time watch. Especially if you like both these actors, I would highly suggest it. They're both great in it.
Now, if it was called Gandalf versus Mrs. Tingle, you couldn't keep it on the fucking shelves.
There you go. There you go. Then I found, Netflix, one thing I don't like about Netflix, they don't carry a lot of movies from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They have some like really popular ones, but some of the smaller ones, they really don't.
And older ones, man, like classics.
They just don't have them on there. So I was absolutely shocked when I saw 1977's The Car on Netflix.
You watched the Cars on Netflix?
The Car's on Netflix with James Brolin.
Sweet.
Speaking of classics.
Yeah, there you go. And basically just a car shows up around this desert town and starts terrorizing everybody. And look, it's not great. I mean, I'll say that. But there's just something appealing to me about watching just this car ride around the desert killing people, driven by Satan or a demon or whatever.
It's it's like the devil's sitting around. He's like, "What if I transform into a Lincoln Continental and tried to kill Thanos' dad?" You're like, "Sure."
Yeah.
That's what the movie is.
So
apparently, Guillermo del Toro has a replica he drives around in.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So really cool movie if you've never seen it. There was a cartoon that was on a few years ago called Regular Show that I used to watch with Oliver about 3 or 4 years ago when he was like 8. And they had an episode, it was called Hello, Governor, and it was basically this, they watched this black and white movie about this car that comes around and eats people. And it very much resembles the car from the car. And back then he was like, Daddy, is there a movie that this is based on? Is there a real car movie? And I was like, well, I think there is, but I can't think of the name of it. Of course it's The Car.
Of course it's The Car.
So we watched it, and he was like, it was okay. And then we watched the cartoon episode, Hello, Governor, and that made it, even better. So that was the connection between those. Then I wanted to do a little experiment time. So we've been talking a lot about movies that we just hate. That just for whatever reason, I just absolutely dislike them. And I found the movie that I dislike the most. And that movie is 2013's Her by Spike Jonze, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
God, what a slog.
It is the worst fucking... Look, it took me 4 days. 4 days to finish this because I could only watch in about 20-minute intervals before I wanted to gouge my fucking eyes out of my skull.
Footnote real fast before you start ripping it apart.
Uh-huh.
The last movie that my wife and I went to see in the theater together without the children was that movie, and she has not gone with me. I picked it, and she has not gone with me since. Anyway, go ahead.
This is just an example of why I hate a lot of AI and tech movies, because they go out of their way to humanize these things, and every time it ends like Terminator. Every fucking time. I mean, just stop doing it, right? Just please stop fucking doing it. But one thing I did think about while I was watching this, as much as I hated it, is I thought, you know what? If Arthur Fleck from Joker had Samantha on his phone, maybe there is no Joker. Who knows?
There you go.
So that's all I could take from that. The other thing being that it is a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is another reason why I don't really put anything into those ratings. So I looked.
It's a freaking 95%.
It is a 95%. So I looked for something that was as low as I could find, and I found something. I found 1988's Vibes, Ken Kwapis, Cyndi Lauper, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Falk, Steve Buscemi, Julian Sands, Psychics in Search of the Ecuadorian City of Gold. And let me tell you something, folks. It's not that fucking bad. Now, it's as bad as you probably think it is, but
it's better than Her.
In comparison with Her, I would watch Vibes once a week for a year straight before I would ever sit down and watch Her in one sitting. That's how fucking terrible Her is, and that's how not terrible Vibes is. It is a 5% on the tomato meter.
They gave it 5.
It is, and yes, it does have some terrible parts to it, but it does have Goldblum, who, his hand acting, how he does his hands and speaks. He's still great doing that. Watching
that
Peter
was
Falk,
probably the 5% that they
watching Peter Falk try and fuck Cyndi Lauper was the highlight of the movie. And it's, if you love 80s movies like I do, and this is one that you saw a long time ago and you didn't know, man, am I going to like that again? Look, it's not that terrible. For a 90-minute movie, it wasn't that terrible, and I was actually happy that I watched it. It's one that I had thought about weeks ago when we were talking about worst movies ever, and I was like, man, what was that piece of shit with Cyndi Lauper and Goldblum? And I looked it up on my phone and saw Vibes, and then a couple of weeks later it was available on Prime. I thought, man, how serendipitous. So that's what I watched.
I love the COVID-19 Doug. Doug comes in here with all the manager's choice, He comes in here with comparisons and notes and just great stuff, man.
And I will watch the shit for you people, okay? I watched her. I watched Vibes. I'll put my nose right in the shit for you guys out there. I'm not afraid to do it.
Send money.
You will.
Visit our Patreon page. I will.
Quarantine Doug is in it to win.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, listen. For every $1 we get on our Patreon page, Doug Wall will watch a 0% Rotten Tomatoes movie for you. For every $1 he gets, every $1 donated,
this is a fact. I'll do it.
He will watch the shittiest movies known to man.
I'll do
this
it.
is a challenge right here. The Doug Wall shit challenge. It's right now. Lee, what'd you watch, man?
Well, I started with a movie that was a sequel to a movie I watched a couple years ago, a movie with Scott Adkins called The Debt Collectors 2. And this is a movie that just has no time for continuity because the two main characters, they both die at the end of the first one. And at the beginning of the second one, they're just like, fuck that shit. So they just show up alive with virtually no explanation. You know, they're just two guys that are debt collectors. And they have like 24 hours to collect like $2 million worth of debts. You know, like they have to go to these 5 different places. One guy owes $500,000, one guy owes, $250,000, And I enjoyed it. I really did. There's a huge They Live reference, the fight between Roddy Piper and Keith David and They Live. I won't say it's shot for shot, but it's very much. The two main characters get into a fight, and it goes on for at least 8 minutes. And it's a Scott Adkins movie. It's him kicking people in the face.
You needed that, didn't you?
I needed it. And I went to the Red Box because I went to the Red Box specifically to rent Debt Collectors 2. And my girlfriend Bonnie had mentioned that she wanted to see the Vin Diesel movie Bloodshot.
Okay.
And I thought to myself,
no!
What's that?
I said, no!
Yep. And I like Vin Diesel about as much as I like getting a fucking vasectomy. With no anesthesia. I just don't see the appeal. He looks like a fucking potato. I don't get it.
What did you think about the
movie?
movie?
Just him mumbling about family.
Yeah.
I don't anyway. So a lot of people obviously don't like it because he's in a zillion movies. But damn, is this movie just terrible. And it says on the cover, it says based on the best-selling comic book. Yeah, that comic book came out in 1993. The word best-selling should be in quotation marks,
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, it's just not good. There's nothing to say. Like, I don't remember it, really. Other than it's not, I mean, his memory keeps getting reset so they can keep sending him out to shoot more people. They blank his memory. And Guy Pearce is the bad guy. It's basically like a Memento-type action movie, and the guy from Memento is the villain. That's what they were going for.
That's true.
It's shit. I mean, anyway. And other than that, I watched from 1974, The Parallax View with Warren Beatty, which I'd never seen. And a very cool movie. Like, if you like the Manchurian Candidate, if you like political thrillers, you mentioned a few episodes ago the movie Winter Kills, which you saw and did not like. This, I think you would like. Mm-hmm. It's very... And this guy, the director's next movie, I can see why he was picked to direct All the President's Men for his next movie. Because this is a very slick-looking movie. The way it's shot, it's... it's a very cool movie. Like,
what'd you find
one day I can't remember. It was on some channel. It was on...
streaming somewhere.
Yeah, streaming somewhere.
I got you.
But like Warren Beatty's a reporter, and he was there like basically Robert Kennedy's assassination. Like if you were at, and then like it goes 5 years later, it's the mid '70s, and like 10 people who were there have been mysteriously died, and he starts investigating it, and he finds out there's this company called Parallax, which basically farms out assassins, and he has a buddy who's a psychology professor who works with psychopaths, and he finds one of the entrance exams, and he has his buddy give it to one of the inmates who killed his family and fill it out, and he turns it in with his name on it. So they think he has all these psychopathic tendencies. And basically sort of wiggles his way into being trained as an assassin. And, just that sort of, 70s post-Nixon don't trust anybody sort of filmmaking that was huge on the set. Very well done. Yeah, I've heard about it before, but I've never seen it.
Nice.
But and other than that, like a week ago, my girlfriend and I were just flipping through channels, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she says, "Can we watch the show Twin Peaks?"
Oh, Christ.
And I said, "If you would like to," I said, "I've seen it." And I thought she was going to bail about, I'll say 4 episodes in. She was in it to win it. She got into it. She was asking questions. I mean, like, she loved it.
Nice.
And then she saw I had the movie Firewalk with me. She's like, "Can we watch that?" I said, "No, that's terrible." I said, "You got what you need to know from the show."
Right.
But yeah, that's all I watched. I was surprised that she loved Twin Peaks.
That's good.
She did keep saying, "What's happening?" But then she would, kind of figure it out.
Wait, was this the old one or the new one from Showtime?
Both.
Oh, okay. So you guys watched all of it?
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
Except Firewalk with Me,
Except Firewalk with Me.
Which, I mean,
which is
come
a
on.
prequel, but
That's the pinnacle of it, right?
Yeah.
At least as far as explaining what's going on.
That's true.
Yeah.
But, that's all I watched. What about you, Garrick?
Okay, well, I watched a bunch of stuff, and we'll get into that after we do the week things. But I watched one of the what I would say in my life is one of the pieces that I've ever seen.
Here we go. I can't wait.
Oh, you know what? If you guys say anything about this movie,
I guarantee you will. You can't preface something.
Number one, it's an opera of cinema.
Okay.
But it's also, every scene is flawless. It's Ed Zwick's Glory.
Glory.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good movie.
Yes.
One of my favorites. All right.
It is one of everybody's
You got
favorites.
me on that one.
Thank you very much. It stars Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman and Matthew Broderick. It's about the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, and
Did you say Massachusetts?
Did I say Massachusetts? Maybe my C. You had to find a reason. Why can't I just get through this?
I don't know why you can't.
So anyway, it's about Colonel Robert Shaw, who is gets 600 African American soldiers, and they storm Fort Wagner, and it's also about the first unit that they brought out of once the African Americans were set free. They enlist for the North, and man, it's just a great film. Every scene, everything about it is just so good.
It started my love affair with Denzel Washington. I mean, that movie, I was just like, who the fuck is this?
And
why is he like my favorite actor now of all time? Like,
and he won the Oscar for the whipping scene alone.
Oh,
just the scene where he's looking at Broderick and that tear comes out and he's just getting whipped. Like it's a brutal scene still. After a while, I've watched that movie 40 times, and it still gets me every time. What a great film, man!
Yeah, it really is.
It's flawless.
A lot of people don't think of it when they think of like war movies. It might be my favorite war movie of all time. I just love it, and I don't know why. I just absolutely have always loved it.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yes. And I have been taking advantage, and I don't know if those are the right words these days. It's very hard to even say anything, but with what's been going on in the world, Amazon and Netflix are making, Warner Brothers are all making African American films free to rent, so just for awareness for people. Apparently, there's some people that aren't aware. I'm aware, but I've been
not taking advantage because they want you to watch them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. But I actually found a classic, man, that I actually had not seen, and I love my classics. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Nice.
What a good movie. It's got Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier,
Sidney Poitier,
Katharine Hepburn, and Catherine Halton. I guess it's basically the first film It's a comedy drama about a daughter coming home and bringing an African American soon-to-be husband to
meet her folks
for the first time. Yeah. It's so good. It's a little long and a little bit preachy, but I have to believe that because of the times when this movie came out, I think it's from 1967. I think that it has to be a little bit preachy, but man, you just don't make movies like that anymore, where it's all really much, it takes place in a house, it's all dialogue, and you're enthralled the whole time. Directed by Stanley Kramer, written by William Ross. Have you guys seen this movie?
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's good. It's like, it reminds me, it's like the format of When Harry Met Sally and, Nora Ephron films. It's just very straight, like Mike Nichols. I don't know, I loved it. I thought it was great. And then I also watched Ali, Michael Mann's worst movie.
Would you say that after recently watching it that it is his worst movie?
Well, I haven't seen Black Hat.
Oh, right.
Right.
You guys have still been spared of that.
Yes. All right. I love Michael Mann. We talk about Michael Mann, Public Enemy, even some of his weaker movies to me are still good. I think, and Ali, there was lots of things I loved about Ali, like Will Smith. I'm not a big Will Smith fan, and he was great.
Yeah.
I think it was his best film. I loved Jamie Foxx. I loved where the time frame that they did. They didn't get overly. They didn't get into his decline. They kept it right, at his peak and during the controversial Malcolm X stuff. It just wasn't all that good.
It's a long movie.
It is a long movie.
It's one of those that it's like, it's another one. It's like if you make a biopic about somebody, it's got to be 3 fucking hours long. You're not doing them justice.
Right. Very nice. So, but it's good, and that's really the only other movie I watched, which we go to the beach, and I'm not real sure why we do it, but every time we go to the beach, we normally go to the beach in August, but every time we go to the beach, we watch Jaws.
Oh, there you go.
But This time we went early, and we actually were watching it on the 45th anniversary. It's one of the best movies. I think it's one of our all favorite movies, right?
It's my favorite movie of all time.
It is my second favorite movie of all time.
It's in my top couple.
Well, I was very happy. My son, for Father's Day, there's a Life magazine out there. It's a big magazine. They do this commemoratives on Jaws' 45th anniversary, which brought it all back. So him and I actually, and he's not here, he's at his mother's, but we watched Jaws and Jaws 2 and Jaws 3. And it's a small decline in the Jaws movies. Jaws 2...
Well, you didn't watch The Revenge?
Number one, I didn't have time, but I don't have to watch The Revenge.
Talk about one of the worst movies ever made.
0%. Yeah. It's a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's deserved.
God, it's horrific.
So,
Michael Caine just sleepwalking through a movie.
But it's so funny, man, because Jaws, it really does, like Steven Spielberg, I couldn't even imagine I remember watching that movie, but I had to have watched the reprint, but man, it changed everything. It really did,
first summer blockbuster.
Yeah, it was
right?
the first, yeah.
I mean, before this, there wasn't like a movie of the summer. And then after this, that's all we got for...
We're still getting... Well, until this year. This year we won't go on.
But in the 80s, I mean, it was like, this is this, and this is the blockbuster of the summer. Yeah.
And it's the number 2 movie in America right now.
Is it really?
Because they re-released Jurassic Park and Jaws, and Jurassic Park was number 1 and Jaws was number 2 at all the drive-ins.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park beat Jaws?
Well...
Because, I guess, because it was the earlier movie,
Oh.
They played Jaws the second feature.
Can you imagine? How cool is that? Both of those are directed by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Where's he been, man? Is he working on anything? Has anybody seen any news on him?
Not recently.
What was the last movie he made? Was it the
Ready Player One? Has he made something since Ready Player One?
Yeah, Ready Player One, or that one with Tom Hanks with the spies. House of Thieves, House of Spies.
Bridge of Spies, right? That was like 3-4 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah, I think Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed it. I thought that was
I did too.
movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed most of his films. I even like Lincoln the Schlag. It was Schlag, and I still liked it. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg. What do you think about Jaws 2? I mean, did you like Jaws 2 or no?
It's the best sequel.
I like it better than Jaws 3.
Yeah.
It wasn't near as good, but when I was watching, I'm like, this isn't terrible. I mean, it's just. I think the problem with Jaws 2 is the cat was out of the bag, so they started showing the shark like seconds into the movie, and that was kind of what took away.
When you make a sequel and you have, you've still got your same actors that are still involved in it, but the director changes. Most of the time, what comes out is terrible. And in this instance, I didn't think it was terrible. I was like, you know what? Not bad. Now, everything after that was absolute garbage. And is it as good of a movie as the first one? No. But as far as sequels go to something like that, I thought it was about as good as you could really do.
Yeah, because Spielberg's idea was to do the story of the USS Indianapolis as the sequel. Basically, the speech be the movie. It's all flashback to Quint on the USS Indianapolis,
and that would have been awesome.
Right, and also by that time it would have been the most expensive movie ever.
Yeah,
and that movie still should be made.
Yeah. Oh, they made one a couple years ago with Nicolas Cage as the captain, and it looked terrible. It was him and Tom Sizemore, and I've read books about it and everything, and it's just there's an awesome movie to be made there.
Oh yeah,
there's one of the last survivors just passed away like 3 or 4 days ago. There's only like 7 survivors left.
For anybody that hasn't seen Jaws and doesn't know what the Indianapolis is, the Japanese, it was the ship that was carrying the nuclear bomb, correct?
It was carrying the smaller one, the one they dropped on Nagasaki.
Yeah, carrying, and on its way back, it was kamikazed, and the ship it ended up in the water. All the sailors ended up in the water, and everything was fine until the sharks came along and started eating all the sailors.
Yeah, and
they were like fighting for their lives, not to drown or anything else. They all had life jackets on. They were just waiting for somebody to come and rescue them. And while they were waiting, just school of sharks just
rolled up and had a buffet.
Yeah, rolled up and had a buffet.
Yeah,
for days this went on.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
And Quint,
pretty much, it's my biggest fear. That would be my
Quint, who is the movie as far as I'm concerned. He's the best.
Yeah.
It's Robert Shaw.
His character in that is just
He's my favorite movie character of all time.
The most macho badass. Like you don't even want to walk into a room and see this guy because he's just so grizzled and just awesome. When he tells this story about the Indianapolis, man, it's like fucking poetry, dude.
Now, wasn't that improv?
No, it was written. There was a small version of it. Then John Milius wrote.
That's right.
Mostly what is written, but then Robert Shaw went and rewrote it because he was a playwright.
Right, that's right.
He rewrote it in a way that he could remember it because it was like 5 pages of dialogue.
But that's Milius on that, for sure.
Yeah, that's Milius and Robert Shaw.
Yeah. It's such a great moment because Richard Dreyfuss's character makes a joke about his tattoo, and he says, "No, that's the Indianapolis," and it's just like the whole mood. And they're sitting there making jokes, and then it changes, and he goes into that monologue, and it's amazing, man. What a great movie, Roy Scheider, man. Great.
Best thing that happened to that movie was none of the sharks worked properly. Because had they, and we would have been inundated with these weird-looking robotic sharks,
like Deep Blue Sea.
It definitely would not have been. I don't think it would have had the same effect.
Right.
And honestly, the little bit of the shark that you see is all you really need to see. Yeah. And I think that's part of what makes the movie so great. Yeah. Sometimes you have a vision for something, and something kind of comes along and scratches that, and from that, you get something that's greater than anything that you could have made had it work perfectly. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense.
Yeah, so.
It was only Spielberg's second movie.
Yeah. The first movie was the truck following the guy. The second movie was the shark following the boat.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I watched. I'll get into the manager's choice. Of course, I've already let the cat out of the bag. Manager's choice is one of Spike Lee's masterpieces, Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington and Spike Lee. Check it out. It is a 3-hour movie, but it's fantastic.
It doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it. And Denzel Washington is amazing. And the story is great. Spike Lee sometimes can be very one-sided and very self-perspective, but this one I think he actually got it right, and it's really good. You should check it out because it's a good piece of history.
I can't stop looking at your fucking mustache.
I'm wondering why you're looking at it.
It's driving me insane.
You really don't like my mustache?
It's got fish hooks on the sides of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so I got some news.
Okay.
I got a message from George R.R. Martin on his fan page. The isolation has actually forced him to write almost 250 pages of The Winds of Winter. So we may get the final book from Game of Thrones.
Oh, that still hasn't come out yet? And people still give a shit?
I do.
That's weird.
Yes.
I honestly, and I know this is a morbid thing to say, I hope he fucking dies before he releases it. And all you fucking Game of Thrones heads who are these book-reading fucks can just go and just go on with your life not knowing how George R.R. Martin wanted his story to end. I hope that happens. Or that something happens and he burns his fucking house down and everything was in there and he'll have to start from scratch. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, great. On other news this evening, Ron Jeremy and a list of other actors are all being charged with talking trash to women 10 years ago. Is that going to be us? Is that going to be every man in the...
The only thing I find odd about the Ron Jeremy thing is this guy fucks women for a living. He has literally fucked thousands of women.
Right.
Why the fuck? Like, the last thing that he needs to do is rape somebody.
Right.
All he's got to do is show up for work.
Right.
I just don't understand. I'm not trying to absolve him of anything, and if he did do something, then he should be tried for it, but when I read that, I thought, man, that's weird.
Yeah.
They said he could get up to 90 years in prison.
Wow. Well,
90 years in prison. And it happened, 15 years ago, though?
I think it was like 2014 or something. Or
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago.
Oh, well, that's
It's multiple women have come forward.
Right. I think this is completely different than the Danny Masterson.
Yeah, Danny Masterson.
Danny Masterson is a Scientologist fucking Muppet, and I'm pretty sure he raped plenty of girls back in the day.
But again, the 70s show, like you said, was so popular. Why? Why does... You could get any tail you want. You're famous.
Who knows why people... Why did Bill Cosby...
Oh, yeah, why did O.J. Simpson kill his wife?
I mean, why do these people do things? You know why? Because they feel like they can.
Yeah.
They feel like they can get away with it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
There you go. Well, there's another script.
Some people just like having power over people.
Right.
I guess.
You know?
What's it called? A misogynist?
Misogyny, yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, all right, man. What a good show.
Hold up.
Oh.
We're about to get serious right now.
Oh, jeez.
I want to talk to you guys about something. Okay?
All right.
What are we doing with... What do you guys honestly think about censoring art and censoring cinema? Especially having to do with... And just as an example like this Gone with the Wind thing. Do you think that it is justified, or do you think it is completely...
It's completely ridiculous.
I'll tell you one thing. It's not censorship because Time Warner owns it. They can burn the motherfucker if they want to.
Right.
And they do. And what it is, they're going to take it away and put a discretion on the beginning that it's a product of its time. If you watch old Tom and Jerry cartoons, my buddy Mike, his son, used to love Tom and Jerry. And if you buy them on DVD, the ones that have the character of Mammy on it, the maid who's scared of mice, it has a warning like this was a product of its time. All this stuff. And that's really all it is. And also, let's be completely honest, Gone with the Wind's not that good a movie. If you sit through it and tell me it's a great movie, I'll give you $1. It came out in 1939. You know what else did? The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Stagecoach. I mean, it's a fucking Hallmark movie for.
But all that being said, should it?
Yeah.
Do you still think that these companies that, yes, they own the rights to, do you think that it's okay for them to basically just do whatever they want to with this movie, or take it away and make it like you're a, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but you're not sympathetic if this is a movie that you watch and that you love. I mean, I'll be quite honest. This is Jodie's favorite movie. Is Gone with the Wind.
It's her favorite movie.
It is her favorite movie of all time. And when I told her that it had been pulled from this HBO Max thing, she just couldn't believe it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen all of it. I know I've seen parts of it, but I can't ever remember a time where I sat down and actually watched it, because nothing about it seemed like anything I would want to see.
Yeah,
but
it's not good.
But talking about, the aspects of this and this woman who, it's basically showing like slave house life. I thought, man, that's really, terrible. But it's not like taking it away isn't going to make it go away.
No.
Does that make sense? And so
I'm fine with them putting a warning on the beginning.
Right, exactly. Because it was made at just a different time, but for it to be destroyed completely, I think that's.
No, they shouldn't destroy it. No, I agree. I disagree.
History.
Even though, like I said, I'm not a fan of it. I just feel like, they shouldn't burn the negative.
Right. So after I saw that, I thought, well, I better hurry up and watch Django before it gets yanked, because it's. Is it not the same thing?
It's the same thing.
Is it or is it not?
It's the same thing. Glory.
I think it's more the point of view. Is Gone with the Wind is completely from white people's point of view.
Right.
Whereas Django, the main character, is, it's from a black guy's point of view.
So even though it has a lot of the same themes, one is okay and one is not okay. And I'd find that to be not...
So American History X should be pulled. Even though he's redeemed at the end.
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know.
Pulled?
I don't know. Listen.
I'm one of those that's like, listen, you should be able to make whatever you want to make. And if you're an adult, you have a choice. You either watch it or you don't watch it.
That's exactly
But you can't fucking tell me what I can and cannot watch.
I agree.
And that's it.
And also, but this is why I still buy physical media. Because I own Django.
Yeah.
And I own it forever.
Yeah. But I just...
That is one of my problems with streaming services. It's, you don't... Even if you buy a digital copy, they can erase that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what was that service they had, Ultraviolet, that Sony started like 5-6 years ago?
Yes.
Last year, they just did away with it. And if you didn't move your stuff over to iTunes or whatever, it was just gone forever.
Yeah.
That's... yeah. But, to go back to what we were talking about, no, you shouldn't... It's a response to an emotional response.
Right.
They're responding to people's anger. And, it's saying it's not a, like you said, we're approaching this rashly, like it's just art. You can watch it or not. It's not, this isn't, Yugoslavia in the 70s where the state dictates what we see. You can watch whatever. We can all sit around and watch bum fights online for hours if we want. Because, it's America.
Yeah.
But, people are just more sensitive now than they used to be, and I guess I'm not.
I am not
try
either.
To be, but
I just, it's very few and far between where I've ever watched any movie on any subject and been so bothered to where I was like, I can't believe that was even a thing, and
right.
And maybe that's part of it, me not understanding, I suppose,
right.
I don't understand it. You got a bunch of white people.
We talked about earlier. Anybody who would if they say somebody who's seen Gone with the Wind or maybe is interested, maybe I would maybe suggest them watch Glory.
Right.
The movie we talked about 30 minutes ago.
Right.
as a more balanced view of history, I guess.
Yeah. More sympathetic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hey, you got a bunch of white people that are barking and they're just mad as hell about the Aunt Jemima brand getting yanked. And I'm like, Barnes & Noble changed their logo 3 times in 10 years and nobody said a word. Who gives a shit if they take the freaking Aunt Jemima logo off? Who fucking cares?
I always thought that was very strange that it was still on there. I'm like,
get
what's
rid
happening?
of it. Does you think it's going to change anything? Take it the fuck down. Take the Ben Carter's or whatever. I don't even know what it is. Uncle Carter's rice.
Uncle Ben's?
Uncle fucking Ben's. Whoever. Take it down, dude. It can still be Uncle Ben's. Like, but it's white people getting mad. I'm like, you're just trying to find a reason to be mad.
Well, I mean, I think
I
think those things are definitely different, and I think those are blatantly like non-sympathetic. But when you're making a movie about a certain time where things like this happened, in order to be in any way, and I'm not saying that Gone with the Wind is like a piece of fucking history, but I'm saying in that time where the movie takes place, things that happened in that movie as far as, you know, the slave aspect, that was just something that was part of it. And to just get rid of it because that upsets you, I don't understand that line of thinking. I just don't.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, it's them appeasing an emotional response.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But you know, man, honestly, there was also another time, the teaser when the World Trade Center was attacked, the Spider-Man trailer was yanked because it had the towers, and it was there was movies like Zoolander and Sidewalks in New York and Men in Black 2 and Stuart Little that were all yanked and had the trade towers digitally removed and then put back on. I get it; it's a different thing, but that's the same thing. Oh, well, we're going to take this movie about the trade tower. You know, here's these shots of the trade towers. We're going to just yank this. I disagree with all of it. It's Gone with the Wind. Who gives a shit?
I don't know. Because once you start doing something like that, it's like, where does it end?
It's a slippery slope.
And that's my thing. Like, anytime you justify censoring art, I'm going to call bullshit. I don't care what it is. If it's something you like or something that you don't like, then, like I said, then you have the freedom to watch it or not to watch it. And that's it.
That's right.
It's, you know...
There's a movie about Oh Brother Art Thou. There's a movie where there's a movie about the KKK, and it glorifies them in any way. It is your choice to watch it or not watch it.
Right. And I'm not...
And if you're a white supremacist and a racist, and you're listening to this show, and my manager's choice is Malcolm X, and your response is, I will never watch that motherfucking movie.
Then go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's your opinion, and that's your shit.
But you have the right. If it's something that you want to watch, cool. If not, that's okay too.
That's exactly right. There you go. How about that? We got political.
Sorry, I think it's... the censoring of art, to me, man, that's like... It really, really bugs the fuck out of me. You know?
I completely agree.
What's the thing with taking, you know, Elmer Fudd's gun away and like Yosemite Sam's guns away in these cartoons? What kind of what the fuck is the point of that? I just saw their response is, we don't do guns. Well, guns are out there, and you not putting them in a cartoon ain't going to change a motherfucking thing about it. It's just you tooting your horn trying to say, oh, look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I disagree with it. Like you said about the old cartoons, preface it with, hey, this contains this, and this, and leave it the way that it is. I don't think it should be censored or changed or anything like that. It just really bothers me.
Like Jimmy Fallon catching flack for his blackface. That was years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, and it was funny 20 years ago. And everybody laughed.
Yeah.
Just like Dave Chappelle doing whiteface. That people fucking laughed. That shit was funny.
Right.
Now it's not funny anymore. So get rid of it.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
We're into the Man on a Mission block with movies like Southern Comfort, The Losers, and I had, of course, tried to get my opera of cinema, Apocalypse Now and Platoon, passed, but these two fools just told me to fuck off.
Well, Garrick, fuck off.
All right. Fair enough, Lee. Great. Cool.
Oh, and
Garrick.
when we're
Fuck
talking
off.
about Hamlet, by the way.
Oh, God. That was 3 weeks ago. Why am I still getting...
God damn it, shut up. If you don't want to sit through the 4-hour Hamlet, I highly recommend the Mel Gibson Hamlet.
Glenn
The
Close.
Franco Zeffirelli one.
Yes.
Glenn Close, Mel Gibson, Hamlet. Are you fucking kidding
is about
me?
2 hours long, and it hits on all the key points.
This is a guy coming from. This is coming from the guy who said Vibes was good and Her was bad.
You're goddamn right, I did.
Hey, actually though, Lee, here's your moment to redeem yourself. We had talked about Hamlet, and you had mentioned a Kurosawa film. But
I referenced Kurosawa's Stone of Blood. What I should have said was Kurosawa's Hamlet is The Bad Sleep Well. And his Throne of Blood is Macbeth. I misspoke.
No, it's fine. Well, that's cool because I would like to still put that on my list to watch.
And also, he Ran is King Lear. Those are the three he did.
Okay, great. All right, folks. Well, that's it for today, and we'll catch you next week with the movie Southern Comfort.
Wash your hands.
Do we still need to wash hands?
Yes, motherfucker.
Seriously.
This shit has
You have to wash them every day.
Let me get. Can I tell a story real fast before we go?
I can't wait because you just went to the beach. You're probably crawling with fucking COVID right now.
I went and shot The Land of Oz Saturday and decided since I didn't have children that I was going to go hike on Sunday after I crashed up there. So I went and hiked about 6 mile slog into the wilderness. Right, there's nothing out there. And there's some ups and downs and some ladders to climb and some cables, kind of like Grandfather Mountain. And man, about the third mile, dude, I'm like huffing a little bit, puffing, and I'm sweating some. And I start seeing people because there's an entrance into the path, I guess, entrance into the miles. Well, anyway, make a long story short, here we are. I passed this guy. He's huffing and puffing coming over a hill, and him and his wife got a mask on. They are sweating. Can barely breathe, and they've got fucking masks on in the middle of the wilderness. Why?
Why not?
Really?
Well, because they're going to come across an asshole like you that's not wearing one. Good on them.
They're like, look at that mustache-having bastard. He does not wash his hands.
You couldn't fit a fucking mask over those handlebars, you fucking... God damn.
Are you seriously?
Once he goes on Dudley Do Right's girlfriend at the railroad
You're
track.
telling me I'm in the wrong that I should have a mask on outside in the fucking mountains? I should have a mask on?
No, absolutely not. But if you come in contact with people, you should probably reach for one. Are you the asshole that goes to the grocery store and doesn't wear one?
Absolutely.
You're that fucking guy?
I have not worn a mask or washed my hands since this fucking thing started.
Well, there... God damn.
Am I the reason the COVID is still around?
People say that people are intelligent, and then you come and tell me something like that, and I just... God damn. I mean, I guess you just won't be happy till you get it. And then we'll see how happy you are.
Okay, fair enough. All right, go.
Wash your fucking hands and wear a mask if you go to the grocery store. Don't be the Garrick that doesn't.
Fair enough.
What a fucking asshole.
Thanks for listening to the Tales from the Video Store podcast. If you enjoy our show every week, take out a couple of minutes and write us a review. Simply go to your podcast icon, click on it, scroll in your library till you find the purple and pink neon sign, click on it, scroll down past our episodes, hit the stars, write a review. It really helps us out. It helps us deliver a new show to you each week. And again, thank you so much for listening to Tales from the Video Store podcast. For more information, go to videostoretales.com. Thanks again.